Thank you. Thank you. Wow. That's a lot of people. Okay. Just 1 second. I could have got away with that in the 80s. No, seriously. If you think about it, go back just 1 or 2 generations, and you're in some kind of alternative universe where smoking is promoted by doctors and dentists as a way to pick up women and even be an athlete. In 1984, the Irish government was worried it wouldn't be able to enforce a ban on teachers and students smoking in classrooms. It wasn't until 1998 that all flights on British Airways were smoke-free. And only 11 years ago, you could still smoke in pubs and restaurants. Imagine trying to smoke in a classroom or on a plane now. People would just go crazy. Radical change on mass scale is possible. Now, I have an enormous passion for the role that education plays in affecting change. Both my parents were primary school teachers, but I said I'd never be a teacher, having seen the amount of work that my mum did after the school day had long finished. 2 weeks at Christmas, a long summer holiday, that's just too good to ignore, and I became a teacher too. But seriously, after trying other jobs, I realized that I wanted a career that gave me the most direct route possible to making the world a better place. I've asked thousands of teachers why they became teachers, and the most common answer by a country mile is they want to make a difference. They want to improve the lives of children, because children give us the chance to make a better world. I love teaching, and it's given me my proudest moments. But let's be honest, teachers are exhausted from hyper-accountability. There's precious little opportunity for us to think about whether the things we're teaching are in fact making the world a better place. This is a huge problem for our society. I believe our children are sleepwalking into a future which is just so far away from the kind of world we want them to inherit. We're currently on track to give them a world by 2050 which has more plastic than fish in the sea. CNN reports that the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is now 3 times the size of France. And Lad Bible recently applied to the UN to make it an official country, the trash aisles, complete with passport and currency. Rumor has it that Ryanair are already trying to sell flights. Food waste is another issue that is affecting our children. Between 33 to 50% of all food produced globally is never eaten. And yet it's estimated that in the UK, 1 in 5 children are what's called food insecure, lacking secure access to sufficient healthy food. Another major consequence of food waste is that right now in the UK, we are 30 to 40 years away from soil infertility, all to produce food that we then just throw away. Maybe we can tell our children it was all the fault of the very hungry caterpillar. And what about obesity? Right now, 1 in 5 children leave primary school obese. And mental health. 1 in 5 children will experience a mental health problem before the age of 11 years old. Plastic pollution, food waste, obesity, and mental health. Just a few things that will affect our children, and we aren't being encouraged to give them the information and skills to deal with them. Instead, we're put under pressure to teach to tests that don't prepare children for the present, never mind the future. So, it's all pretty bleak. Thanks very much for listening. I really hope the next person's a little bit more uplifting. But despite all of that, You might be surprised to hear that I'm overwhelmingly optimistic for the very reason that I've seen what happens when we give power to our pupils. Have you noticed how we don't ever think of our adult leaders as having been school children? We can't imagine that they would have sat in assembly and sung Kumbaya or played with their friends on the school playground. But children on playgrounds and in classrooms everywhere are growing up to become our adult leaders, our voters, our drivers of industry, and perhaps, most importantly of all, our adult consumers. Rather than us leaving blinkers on our children so that they sleepwalk into a bleak future, we can teach them the content, values, and skills to create a world in which our children don't just survive, but thrive. Between the ages of 5 to 16, every child spends the majority of their waking life in a school. We can get the next generation tackling our greatest challenges from an early age so that by the time they become adults, they see things like plastic pollution, food waste, and eating junk food seem as crazy as smoking in a classroom or on a plane or during a TED Talk would be to us now. So let's make innovators like scientists and social entrepreneurs the new celebrities in the eyes of our children. For example, plastic bottles are one of the worst contributors to plastic pollution. Yet we have innovators making things like can of water, edible water like Oho, and even trainers from plastic bottles like these from Adidas Parley. Food waste. The Olio Food app makes it simple for us to give surplus food to others in our community. And Snacked make fruit snacks from ugly fruit in compostable packaging. Why not use our classrooms to promote these innovators and their businesses? Let's teach children about politics so that they vote for positive change, hold politicians to account, and for people of all backgrounds to become politicians themselves. By developing a sophisticated electorate, we can get the kind of progressive politics we need for the benefit of our society as a whole. Let's create a generation of sophisticated consumers who control industry by reading about sustainable companies, writing news reports about them, and making adverts about them, by teaching a curriculum which creates responsible consumers. And let's improve mental health by reading, writing, and performing mindfulness meditations in the classroom, and tackling obesity through performance poetry, which creates positive associations with movement and exercise. Now, maybe you think, well, this all sounds well and good, but we can't waste time on this hippie nonsense when we need academic results in the classroom. As part of the Educate program from the UCL Institute of Education, the world leader in education research, we developed a range of projects which follow the national curriculum and engage 7 to 11-year-olds with a mix of fiction, politics, creativity, sustainability, health, and video production. Their traditional English skills improved by 3.75 times the national average rate. 15 months progress in just 4 months. Now maybe you think, well, that does sound pretty good, but this is all a bit serious, and that we should just let kids be kids, let them have fun. The research also showed us that there was an increase in 50% in classroom enjoyment. As Einstein said, that is the way to learn most. When you are doing something with such enjoyment that you don't notice that the time passes. 15 months progress in just 4 months. We had classes improving their persuasive writing skills by creating change.org petitions like this class, who campaigned against plastic bottles and for a ban on plastic straws in the UK. They have over 100,000 signatures. They were interviewed on the radio, on BBC Radio, featured in the Metro, CNN, in Schools Week, and congratulated in Parliament by Michael Gove. Another class of 7 to 8-year-olds, they took letters to cafes, pubs, and restaurants, campaigning for them to stop using plastic straws. They told us they loved the look on the adults' faces when they confronted them and the feeling that they were in control. So let's give power to our pupils and let them show us adults how it's done. We had classes improving their political speech writing and news reporting skills, like this class who interviewed the Welsh Minister for Education about how the current curriculum wasn't giving them the skills they need for their future. They investigated how politics works, held their representatives accountable at the same time as improving their news reporting and political speech writing skills. And it's so crucial to take this enthusiasm and make kids feel celebrated for the work that they've done on projects like this. We decided to do just that with the festival called LitFilmFest, which this year has seen over 100,000 7 to 11-year-olds take part. We put their videos on massive cinema screens everywhere from Liverpool to London to Luxembourg, as well as get their videos featured on the YouTube Kids app. Like these kids who improved their instruction writing by making healthy cookery programs that were featured on the BBC Good Food channel. If we want a healthy, creative future generation full of rock star scientists like Brian Cox, social activists like Maya Angelou, innovators like James Dyson, and guardians of the planet like Ellen MacArthur, let's show our children that we value these efforts more than appearing on Big Brother. Teachers have always understood how important it is for children to read as much as possible. As well as fiction, let's now give equal time and importance to reading about innovation, citizenship, sustainability, and health, because a child who reads fiction can dream of a better life. A child who reads fiction and learns about reality has the power to make those dreams come true. I want kids to read Stig of the Dump, but also to understand where the rubbish in Stig's dump came from and what they can do about it. I want them to read Matilda and then read about Malala, understanding that young girls can make big changes. And I want kids to read War Game, understand that bad things happen when diplomacy fails, and to see healthy political debate as part of their everyday lives. Children give us the chance to make a better world. I don't want to let kids just be kids, because I know that's not good enough for them. I want to give power to our pupils so they feel like superheroes who grow into adults and make this the kind of world we all want to live in for generations of children to come. Thank you.